What?
The Buffalo Bills have such a small margin for error. And unfortunately, Josh Allen has to wear his cape all the time. They're a flawed team. Josh Allen did not play well at all yesterday, obviously. And this has kind of been creeping up on Josh Allen the past few games, where the turnovers has been creeping up, and it's cost him in a couple of these games here. When you look at, but the reason why there's such a slim margin for error, Shay, their defense is bad. Okay, their rush,
real bad.
They are 30th in the league in rush defense. They're giving up almost 150 yards rushing per game on defense. That is not a team that you can take seriously come postseason. Because let me tell you something: all the best teams, when we talk about these teams like the Seattle Seahawks, the Los Angeles Rams, these teams in the NFC, you know what they do? You know what they have? They pack a defense and they have explosive offenses. The Bills, we know they have Josh Allen, but if you can't stop the run, you are not going anywhere in the postseason. Yesterday, we saw the Miami Dolphins, an organization that had fired their general manager. Their coach has been left for dead, and all they did was run roughshod all over the Buffalo Bills. And if they can't fix that, which it's looking highly unlikely that's going to happen, the Buffalo Bills, not only this year, they're not going anywhere, but think about this from a bigger perspective. This window that the Bills have had, it's over. It is absolutely over. They've dominated the AFC East for 6 years, and they have nothing to show for it. Nothing. Not a Super Bowl appearance, and here it is.
Bills Mafia, gather in. Because today's show isn't just a reaction. It's a pulse check. It's a temperature reading on a franchise that has lived in the postseason for half a decade, fought through heartbreak, outperformed expectations, and built an identity around resilience, relentlessness, and refusing to die quietly. But after this past Sunday, after a Dolphins team that had essentially waved the flag on their season, punched Buffalo in the mouth, the entire NFL world exploded with questions. And now, one of the loudest voices out there, Bill Simmons, is publicly wondering something we haven't heard in years. Will the Buffalo Bills actually miss the postseason? That question alone tells you how deep the shock was after Miami's upset. A Dolphins team that traded away pieces, benched players, shifted their long-term focus, and looked like an organization preparing for the offseason, suddenly rose from the ashes and slapped Buffalo across the face. And yes, it was embarrassing. It was frustrating. It was unacceptable. And that's exactly why the NFL media is circling. But Bills fans know there's a bigger story behind this moment. And we're going to break it down tonight with honesty, intensity, and clarity. Let's start with the headline that shook every sports feed. Bill Simmons saying this was the first time he ever thought about Buffalo missing the playoffs. Simmons isn't the reactionary type. He's not the guy who panics over one game. For him to say this tells you how significant that Dolphins loss was. He didn't just criticize, he questioned the entire trajectory of the 2025 season. And he didn't stop there. Simmons laid out the remaining schedule in a way that was almost cinematic. Tampa Bay at home, Houston on the road, Pittsburgh on the road, Cincinnati at home, New England in Foxborough, Cleveland in Ohio, Philly at home, the Jets at home. And he said something that hit hard. He only sees 3 guaranteed wins in that entire stretch. Jets, Bengals, maybe the Browns. And that's it. Now, is he right? Or is he overreacting? We're going to dig into that. Because on the latest episode of his podcast, he went beyond the schedule. He said the quiet part out loud. Buffalo needs 4 more wins to reach the 10-7 mark that historically locks a playoff spot. And he sees only 3 on paper. His words, they've got to win one of those other ones to get to 10-7. His tone wasn't mocking, it was concerned. And that is what's lighting up NFL conversations everywhere. But here's the twist. Cousin Sal pointed out something Simmons conveniently left out. Vegas still has Buffalo as a near lock to make the postseason. The odds of the Bills missing out are plus 820. That's not fear, that's confidence. That's the betting world telling the football world that the Bills are still firmly in control of their fate. That's Vegas saying the Bills are too talented, too experienced, too battle-tested to collapse. And honestly, that's the truth buried underneath all the noise. Let's address what Simmons is ignoring. Number one, Josh Allen is the reason this team is always alive every year, every season, every situation. A quarterback with his level of physical dominance does not fade quietly. Yes, the Dolphins' loss was rough. Yes, the inconsistencies are real. But this man has taken Buffalo to the postseason 6 straight times. He has dragged teams, carried rosters, turned broken plays into miracles, and repeatedly proven that when the games get bigger, his ceiling rises. That's why the Bills have been a postseason mainstay from 2019 through 2024. That's why Allen is 7-6 in the playoffs, and that's why this team always finds itself in the fight. Number two, people forget how volatile November and December are in the NFL. The Eagles have suffered collapses. The Chiefs have had mid-season spirals. The Ravens have blown late-season leads. Every contender stumbles. Every contender gets punched in the mouth, but champions respond. That's the difference between teams that survive and teams that sink. Now let's talk about something Simmons brought up that deserves attention. Sean McDermott's post-game comments. When asked whether he believes this roster is playoff caliber, he hesitated. He didn't guarantee, he didn't sell optimism, he chose his words carefully. And that pause, that hesitation, reverberated across the football world. Because that's the kind of moment that makes fans wonder if the head coach sees the cracks before anyone else. It makes analysts dissect every sentence for clues. It makes the national media smell blood. But let's be honest. McDermott's job is to coach the players in the room, not to sugarcoat a performance that didn't meet the standard. Sunday wasn't good enough. Everyone knows that. And McDermott knows that the only response is action, not words. But here's where things get interesting. While the media is sounding alarms, Buffalo is still one of the most talented teams in the league. They have the quarterback, they have the offensive firepower, they have a defensive core that has been battered by injuries, but still shows moments of elite-level potential. And when you dig deeper into this Dolphins loss, you see something critical. Buffalo didn't lose because they lacked talent. They lost because they lacked urgency, focus, execution. Those are correctable. Those are fixable. Those are not structural problems. Let's talk schedule for a moment. Is it brutal? Yes. But let's break down Simmons' assumptions. Pittsburgh on the road. A tough environment, yes. But Pittsburgh's offense has been inconsistent, and Allen historically dominates the Steelers outside of 1 or 2 early career hiccups. Houston and Houston. Dangerous team, but young. Cincinnati at home. Simmons calls that an easy win, and maybe it is depending on confidence and momentum. New England and Foxborough. The Patriots have improved, but division games favored the more talented roster. Jets at home, a must-win, and Allen rarely lets must-wins slip away. And don't forget, the Bills always pull a surprise win in a game they're projected to lose. They beat Kansas City this year. They beat Baltimore. They take the spotlight games personally. So yes, Simmons' anxiety makes sense on the surface, but when you zoom out, when you consider who this team has been for half a decade, when you look at Buffalo's resilience, and when you acknowledge that this roster is still good enough to go 10-7 or even 11-6, it becomes clear that the Bills have far more upside than the national panic suggests. Now let's end with the real truth. The Bills are not just fighting for wins right now. They are fighting for identity, for confidence, for authority in a division where the Patriots are rising and the Dolphins, unpredictable as they are, still have enough talent to steal games. But Buffalo's history tells you everything about who they truly are. This team does not fold. This quarterback does not disappear. This fan base does not accept collapse. And this organization has been through storms far worse than losing to the Miami Dolphins. Let the media talk. Let Simmons raise questions. Let the NFL wonder whether this team still has it, because that's the fuel Buffalo thrives on. This is when the Bills become dangerous. This is when the urgency kicks in. This is when Allen sharpens his edge. This is when the locker room closes ranks and fights back. If the Bills win against Tampa and carry that momentum into Houston, The entire narrative flips overnight, and the same media voices panicking today will be praising Buffalo in 2 weeks. That's how quickly this league changes. That's how quickly the Bills can take back control. Bills Mafia, I want to hear from you. Is Simmons overreacting, or do you think these concerns are fair? Do you see Buffalo turning the stretch into their defining moment of the season? Drop your predictions below. Hit like if you believe in this team, and subscribe to Bills Mafia Wire so you don't miss a single update, reaction, or deep dive. The story isn't written yet, and Buffalo has a habit of writing its best chapters when nobody believes in them.